I'm about to pan 40 buckets of sand from the Mississippi River to see if I can find enough gold to start a profitable Minnesota gold mine. You heard that right, gold in the Mississippi River. One of the best kept secrets about the Mississippi is that it's full of gold. Real King Tut coating, Spanish sunken treasure, gold. The question is, how much? If you don't believe me, I'm gonna prove it right now. There's a piece right there. And right there is a little piece of true blue gold. Now the gold in the Mississippi is incredibly fine. So the question is there enough of it for a profitable mine in Minnesota? And that's where the buckets come in. Now typically a mining operation will measure the quantities of gold in ounces per ton or grams per yard. And it just turns out that 45-gallon buckets equal 1 yard of dirt. So what I'm gonna do is run through 45-gallon buckets of material, tally up all the gold in the end, and see how many grams per yard we have in the Mississippi. Then we'll know if we can start a profitable mine. Now, in the state of Minnesota, we aren't allowed to use high bankers, no dredges, nothing mechanical at all. It all has to be non-mechanical separation. So instead of using that machinery, I have to do everything by hand, which means I have to pan all the buckets. Now with panning, classifying material is super important. So I'm gonna use our design by our friend, the Flour Gold Wizard, and classify all my material before I pan it. It's made out of punch plate, and this is basically like a handheld trommel.
It's a nice little trommel.
I do like that.
Legal in the state of Minnesota. Now the question is, how full is a full bucket? I think that's full, and I'm gonna fill all these buckets almost right to the top. So now what we do is we pan the whole bucket down, and I'm gonna be using a method called speed panning, where you just put one load of material in the pan it all down to the black sand, and then put the next load on top. And yes, I forgot my scooper again. I have it, but it's in my truck, and I don't wanna walk all the way back to get it.
Lazy fuck.
I know I said I was going to tie it to the bucket, but I thrive on intentions. It's the same process people have used for thousands of years. The heavy gold sinks to the bottom, the light material strips off. Physics don't change no matter how many years go by. It's still the same. So once I get to this point, I can start to see that black sand to show. I'm not going to go too far, I'm just going to put the next load on top. I'm gonna speed up this operation and just shovel right out of the bucket. And the next one. I'm perspiring. So here's the last of the bucket. Now this should give us a pretty good idea of how much gold is actually in this spot. Now this is just full of black sand, and that's a good sign in that there's heavy material depositing here. But it doesn't necessarily mean there's gold. Now we'll clean most of this up back home, but I'm gonna take a quick peek of what we got here. So that right there are all little pieces of gold. There's some more over there too.
Some of them are so small that they're hard to see.
Now, I know that's not a lot of gold, but that's only 1/40th of what we're gonna go through. That's just one bucket. So I'm gonna stay here at this spot and take another 4 buckets so we have a 5-bucket sample. And if I don't find more than this, then maybe I'll go for better ground. For now, this is gonna go on my concentrate bucket. Then we'll clean this up when we're all done. It's a piece of gabbro. Probably a nugget under that rock though. You always gotta have hope.
Hope is a dangerous thing. Hope can drive a man insane.
I'm finding a few more clamshells where I'm digging now, and it's a little known fact, clams are attracted to gold. I just made that up.
It's a total fabrication.
All right, so there's bucket number 2. This is gonna take a while. All right, there's our next bucket. Let's see what's in it. And there's still gold there. There's some floating pieces there. Should have brought some jet dry. This gold is so small that it floats. Now, I know that doesn't seem like much gold at all, but it all adds up.
Like the old saying goes, you take care of the pennies and the dollars take care of themselves.
But with gold being at an all-time high, maybe it'll add up to enough to make a profit. Now, if you're new to the channel, you're probably wondering, why is there gold in the Mississippi River? The answer can be found right in our tailings pile. When we look at our tailings pile, we see pieces of granite, of basalt, of rhyolite, limestone, schist, sandstone, and quartz. Now, this mixture of rocks does not belong here at all. There's no rock outcropping that would resemble anything like this. They were brought here by the glaciers. And long ago in northern Minnesota and Canada, there were mountains full of metamorphic material, full of quartz veins, and right over the border in Ontario are active gold mines with big thick quartz veins full of gold. And when the glaciers scraped on by, they picked up little pieces and brought them here and sprinkled it all over. Anywhere along the Mississippi where you can find a gravel bar, especially in Minnesota, that's a great place to look for gold. I don't know how far down the Mississippi you can find it, but I know you can find it all the way to the Iowa border. I know people that have done that. And I'm sure there's some specks that have gone beyond that. From what I hear, most of the Mississippi is muddy, but up in here in Minnesota, there's a lot of gravel to pick from. And that's why there's gold here. Wood, waterlogged wood. So on the third bucket, after panning it all down, I just see one tiny speck of gold.
A cleanup this low could also indicate bad pay dirt.
That's just not going to cut it for this mining operation.
I got more gold than that in the floorboard of my pickup.
I think we're going to have to hunt for better ground. So it's another day and another location at the Mississippi. Now in this spot, there's some pretty fast moving water. The water's really high. It's risen quite a few feet from some rains we've had, and there's a lot of boulders, but I'm kind of thinking it might be too high for me to get in there. You can see around where I'm standing, like that's the grass line, and there's grass underwater, and that's not really what I want. I want to get out there just a little bit where the water's moving, where the gravels are packing up. This is kind of all sand and mud. I'm going to look for a shallower spot, but might be out of luck. So there's a little bit of a gravel finger here that's a little bit shallower. So I'm gonna fill another bucket, and that'll be one more bucket down. All right, so we scraped together another bucket. Who the heck is calling me? Scam likely. He just won't leave me alone. You know, I think I'm gonna have to start rethinking my efficiency here. This stage in the mining outfit though, I just don't wanna put a lot of investments into it. I feel like we're not gonna have any other choice though. We're gonna have to increase our efficiency.
It sounds pretty expensive.
The material we're going to need to buy is going to be about $3,500.
3,500.
3,500.
These come with covers.
I don't need the cover. I just need the tote. Oh, but they come with them for free? Mm-hmm. Well, then I may as well take one. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, that's the thing.
Thank you for shopping at the Home Depot.
Well, that wasn't too bad. This ought to increase production quite a bit. So the way this is gonna work is I got a bucket of material classified here, but it's kind of hard to scoop out of it. So I figured I'm just gonna classify a bunch of buckets all at once and store them in my bin like this. Oh, yeah. Come on. And then it'll be easier to scoop out of. You know, a yard of dirt is 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet. How the heck is that 40 buckets? Is my math off? Can't be off, I Googled it. Whoa. Oh, never mind. Thought I had an agate. It's just a clamshell. You know what they say about clamshells? Do you? Because I don't know. Do they say anything about clamshells? All right, so I only got time for about 2 buckets right now, but now that's in my bin, I'm just gonna shovel it in on my pan and get that classified really quick. Yeah, big scoops. This is like a big operation now. So, pan it down to the black sand. Oh yeah, this is gonna be a faster way to get through this material. Holy crap. That's a big chunk of gold. So I just took a peek and there's not very many specks, but there's one giant speck in there. That is a giant piece of gold for the Mississippi. Look at that thing. I can feel that thing in the pan. Wow. Now, pieces of gold like that add up quick. I could find 100 tiny specks and it would take that much to weigh what that one's gonna weigh. This is a good sign. Check out this rock I found in the tailings. That's just a metamorphic rock. You can see there's some foliation there, some preferential. Oh no, look at this goose. Oh no. This goose has a thing on its neck. There's no way I'm gonna be able to catch him. Come here, buddy. Come here.
Nope.
Come here.
Nope.
Oh, there's just nothing I can do. There's no way I'll be able to catch that thing. Don't throw your trash all over the place, guys. Jeez. But back to the rock. You can see some foliation, it's metamorphic, and it's got this vein that looks pretty straight on one end, but if you turn it to the side, you see all these little waves. So these minerals were deposited in a straight line, and then the tectonic forces squeezed it like an accordion. That is super cool. Every rock tells a story. Okay, so that's all panned out, and that works pretty well. I'm gonna have to start keeping a running tally of how many buckets we're down. This is definitely not a one-day project. So we're at another location on the Mississippi, and we are only 9 buckets into this. So I'm gonna pick up the pace, just start a tally, and start classifying buckets. Today, however, I forgot my classifier. So most of the buckets are gonna be classified, but there'll be a few unclassified buckets in there. Let's start the tally anyway. 10, 11, 12. So I got all 3 of those buckets panned down, and there is some gold in there, but not a lot. For 3 buckets, that's not a lot, but let's just keep going and see how much adds up. Well, another day, and I remembered my classifier this time, but I forgot my big tub that I was using, so it's back to 1 bucket at a time. But we'll add 1 more bucket to the tally. So I just went through the next 3 buckets, and this is the best pay dirt I've seen so far.
Absolutely.
That's way more.
A massive increase of 70%.
That is sure nice to see. Just wait till all 40 buckets are together. So with results like that, I have confidence that we're gonna have something to show for when all 40 buckets are compiled into one. 3/4 of the way done. 40 buckets is a lot of buckets. Holy cow. You know, maybe there's an easier way to do this. It's still a bucket. Okay, fine. I'll stick with the big bucket. You people.
What do you mean, you people?
What do you mean, you people?
Huh?
You know, digging 40 buckets of dirt can kind of be a challenge to make entertaining, but I'm in a new spot, and this particular location is known for having bigger pieces of Mississippi River gold. And by big, I mean maybe you'll find a picker, like barely big enough to pick up, but in my mind, that's a Minnesota nugget. So the next few buckets I'm gonna take here in hopes of finding that Minnesota nugget.
And you know, his dream is to find that nugget.
I know.
It's a risk. In general, there's fewer specks, but the potential for a bigger piece. Okay, so here's 3 buckets. I'm gonna pan through that, see how much gold there is, and if I don't have a good number of specks or a Minnesota picker, we'll head back to our other hot spot that we were just at. I just want the chance for a heavy piece to tip those scales. So here's all 3 buckets all down into one pan. If there's a picker in here, I'll stay, or an awful lot of specks. If not, we'll head back to where we were. So there is definitely gold around, but I think we were on a little hotter stringer before, and the odds of running into one of those pickers is a little slim. So I'm just gonna go with getting the numbers, getting more of those little specks, and head on to our other spot. We'll finish the buckets there, then we'll tally it up. All right, we're back. Let's finish this. So my tote's full again, and when I look around at this spot, I can't really see any particular gold trap. There's not like a different structure or anything that's making the gold collect. It's just a whole bunch of boulders and cobbles and gravels and sand all packed together in the riverbank. It acts like a big sluice box, and gold just packs up here. But I'll get that pan down and we'll keep working. And we're still on some pretty good gold. So there's still gold here, almost there. Now in this location, there is so much black sand. Just 3 pans pan down, and this pan is just full of black sand. It's a little too much to handle, so what I've been doing is I've been doing about 3 pans at a time, and then just dumping it into another container and starting over again. This gold is so fine, I don't want to take too much time panning it down out in the field. I just want to get through this material. So we're just rough panning in the field. We'll dial it in back home. I don't know if you can see all those bugs, but there's like 1 billion bugs flying around this river. Thankfully they don't bite, whatever they are. Uh-oh.
Come back! Come back!
I'm out here talking about bugs and my pan's floating. Do you know what this is? It's the 40th bucket, the last one.
It's done. It's over now.
Let's get it panned out. You know, I started this project just as the leaves were popping out on the trees. Now they're just about ready to fall off. I greatly underestimated how many buckets 40 buckets is. This was a lot, but I'm always up for a challenge, and I'm really anxious to see how much gold we've compiled. Some fish jumping. This far north, I might actually eat some fish out of the Mississippi, north of the Twin Cities. Downstream of the Twin Cities, I don't think I would. Let's just see if that last bucket had any gold. Ooh, there's actually a nice piece in there. Not bad. That's nice to see. And with that, I'll add it to my concentrate bucket. So I'm gonna fill my hole, and then we'll take this home and start the cleanup process. So we're back at headquarters with all of our concentrates, and I put it in different buckets, but I would say it's probably about 2 gallons worth. 40 buckets all condensed down to 2 gallons. So I'm gonna classify this to different sizes, and I hunt for different size kitchen strainers. The fancy professional classifiers are kind of expensive. These are pretty cheap. So I got a strainer with bigger holes and a strainer with smaller holes. So we'll classify it down. Okay, so all that is classified, and a lot of it was this bigger material, and that's good. There certainly won't be any gold in anything this size, but I'll look through it just in case we find anything interesting. But the mediums here, that actually might have a few pieces. So I'm gonna look at that. The majority of all of our gold is gonna be in this microfine, and that's a lot of micros to go through. So I think I'm gonna go through the mediums first. Now for the mediums, I think I'm just gonna pan it out. One thing about big gold is it doesn't take a whole lot of finesse to get that panned out, so probably quicker if I just do it this way. There's plenty of pieces of lead in here. Ooh. And there's my big pieces of gold. So there's 2 big pieces of gold. I recognize that first one, but this longer, flatter one over here, that just appeared here. I don't know where that came from, but those are 2 nice pieces. So now I'm gonna tackle the micros. And to do that, I'm gonna use a sluice specially designed for this micro flour gold, the Flour Gold Wizard cleanup sluice. Every once in a while, there'll be little pieces of gold that get stuck in here left behind. And since I do want this to be at least a little bit quantitative, I'm gonna take a brush and scrub this clean to make sure all the gold that we see at the end is the gold that we got from the Mississippi. Just take a toothbrush and brush it out. And a little rinse. Let's see if there was any stuck in there. Yeah, there was. All that was left behind in the sluice. So good thing we scrubbed it out. But that seems to be pretty dang clean right now. So I'll put a safety pan under there just to catch any lost gold. Now we just start scooping. There's already some gold showing up. So I'm about halfway done with this, and I really should have just hooked this up to a bigger sluice box. I got that smooth water head that you can put on the bigger sluice, the river sluice. That would have processed this a lot faster. But it's working. It's filling up with gold, and I'm actually even at the halfway point, kind of impressed with how much gold is in there. Every now and then I get a big glob that falls in there way too fast and it kind of goes down. So I'm sure there's gonna be some in our catch pan to pan out, but that's why it's there. So finally, it's all been run through there. That took a long time, but it looks like the night sky. There's a lot of gold in there. And we'll get it into a pan. So 40 buckets of material reduced to 2 gallons of concentrates, and now a few teaspoons. One more reduction, and then we'll have clean gold. I'm just gonna take a quick look in our catch pan and see how many pieces I missed. Guaranteed there's some in here. I put some pretty big scoops on there. And there were a number of pieces in the catch pan, but that's why I run a catch pan. We'll just suck that up and put it in that one. And there it is. 40 buckets of Mississippi River pay dirt. That is a beautiful little pile of gold. But now the real test. How much does it weigh? How many grams per yard are in Mississippi River pay dirt? And would a Mississippi River gold mine be profitable? 0.048 grams. So after processing a yard of material, we can determine that the amount of gold in the Mississippi River is 0.048 grams per yard. And currently gold is over $4,000 an ounce, $129 a gram. That means this little bit of gold is worth $6.19. So could you make a profitable gold mine in the Mississippi River in Minnesota? Absolutely not. But it sure is a lot of fun to go out and get these little specks. Thank you so much for coming along. Please let me know what you think in the comments. If you're interested in any Glacial Gold Hunter merch, check out glacialgoldhunter.com. Thank you guys for watching. Come on back for the next one. Bye-bye.
You want another slice?
No, I'm okay.
What else is on?
Yeah, let's see what else.
Where's the TV guy?